What if you wanted to go to heaven, but God said,
I don't know.
No!
No!
Wait, let me check the chest.
Oh god!
Oh my god, Helly.
There you go. So that now when we break the
It killed me!
Welcome to Minecraft. You may have heard of it from anywhere on the internet. I might have a couple hours on it, but how do you beat the game? Yeah, we could just kill the dragon, but I'm not a leftist. I'm a masochist, which is why we're going to be getting every item in Minecraft. Absolutely no one has ever done this before. So come along with my friends as I drag them through one of the longest, funniest, and most chaotic worlds I've ever played. This isn't your average playthrough, but how bad can it possibly be? Now, I know what you're thinking. Helipilot, this challenge seems a little extreme, like listening to YouTubers for life advice. And yeah, it's supposed to be mentally deranged. How else would I get my sick kicks? But for now, there is one singular goal in this world. Gathering every obtainable item in the game. Or, more specifically, gathering each item from the creative menu, like I'm browsing the damn Sears catalog. The only exceptions to this are the unobtainables for obvious reasons, and my favorite item, the jungle juice. But as preschoolers, we need another rule to prevent a second Stone Wars incident, which is where we get section 2. Visually identical items will be displayed as a single item. In a process I refer to as natural selection, items with different subscripts like banners will fight to choose the strongest. Meaning, no, we won't be collecting every single armor variant, because I'm not a sadist.
What?
For anyone arguing, subscripts do count. Remember, you can combine any enchant at any level, resulting in a total number exceeding the mass of the sun. I'm sorry, do I look like let's game it out? Thanks, but I value my time. So, where do we start? Welcome to the Valley, a sprawling hill country encircled by 3 mountains and the... Yeah, maybe it's not a great start, but I think Is that a mushroom island? Here in the best spawn ever made, we'll begin engaging in the basic Minecraft experience. Which is to say, it's always the same. Activities such as chopping trees, child labor, and a series of frontal lobotomies via skeleton arrows. This is gonna look great on my job application. Don't worry, I also find it hard to point and click. In this stage of the game, survivability is at an all-time low, as mobs, especially on hard mode, tend to do an unreasonable amount of damage. And if one of your greedy, probably sociopathic teammates are to take all of the iron, you're most likely going to have a very unpleasant experience. Even without armor, shields are an absolute necessity from start to finish, which, when used properly, will save you from everything but your own stupidity. But enough about metal. After all, I'm not an alchemist. This is phase 1. You can tell because my inventory resembles clown vomit. And in this episode of Steve's Irregular Incidents, we're going to be driving a species to extinction. As during a playthrough where we need to collect 1,210 unique items, our first priorities should be mobility and compact storage. Because if you were to travel 10,000 blocks just to die in lava, I would consider that less than optimal. Now that we're geared up and have our first goal, we can finally get to work. Eventually. Here on the side of Mount Gelmir, we'll construct our starter base, which will last the rest of the game. It's just, none of us know what goes in the square hole. Living in America can be rough, especially when you're homeless. Which is why we need to establish residency, even if the floors look like the attic cotton candy. Like, have you seen the housing market? Of course, we're also gonna need a bit of storage for all the blocks I forgot existed. And, the government still wants to tax me on them. But given enough ingenuity, I might have a way around that without getting swatted. Gee, it sure is hot around here. Thankfully, the music tracks are absolute fire. See, this guy gets it. Welcome, fellow sinners, to hell. Like, you know, the Bible. And on today's mission for Super Earth, we're here with the review divers so we can deliver democracy to all of the unfortunate residents of Arizona. The Nether is a post-apocalypse, nightmare-inducing wasteland with enough suffering to make Griffith sweat. Yet for some reason, we just keep coming back. This dimension is a blast to explore, unlike others, with its vibrant scenery and extremely dynamic terrain. Yet, much like the city of Detroit, surviving is less about skill and more akin to betting your life expectancy by a dice roll. And if I've learned anything from gambling, it's that RNGesus won't hesitate to prick your spine. But with a whole new world comes new blocks to gather and new biomes to gather them in. Areas like every Denny's parking lot, the Crimson Forest, and of course, the minorities. You know, cause the biome's pretty rare. Yet, if I had to choose a favorite, it'd have to be the gas chamber, cause they just don't stop spawning. Moving on from my 20-slide gentrification PowerPoint, we arrive at the Nether Fortress. And by we, I mean just my peons. So while I'm regretting my life choices, let's introduce the two that I've dragged along for the ride. Super King 100 is,
Haley's gone, he has no armor.
I didn't set my spawn!
yeah, he's a guy. Yet they're also the only gamer I know who's talked to a woman. What his smooth brain lacks in critical thinking and good judgment, it's certainly made up for in sheer skill and an ungodly power level. Which is why, despite his violent tendencies, he'll be our go-to man for aggressive antagonists and hard labor with zero pay. You know, now that sounds an awful lot like slavery. On the other end of the political spectrum, we have 2K, an Australian femboy who I would best describe as submissive and breedable. Aside from keeping my mailbox unpipe bombed, our blue furry specializes in organization with a master's degree in Microsoft Excel. Because of this, he didn't leave the base for 90% of the playthrough, choosing to forego human interaction in favor of more cubicle companions. My man needs to touch a grass block. And yes, I could talk about my own role and personal quirks, but at this point, I think the video speaks for itself. Jumping straight back into Lethal Lava Land, our superfluous sidekicks decide to avoid direct combat in favor of a more stealthy approach for the fortress. Colonel, I'm trying to sneak around, but I'm dummy thick. Like the big brain, uber smart individuals they are, A2K and company employ the barricade method, a great way to block off unwanted guests without fighting the ATF. Unfortunately, no amount of cobblestone can save you in the hood. Now with a firm grasp on the Blaze's rod, it's finally time to leave the south side. However, the only way they were coming home was in an urn. That's the true Nether experience. You enter, motivated and moisturized. You leave, exhausted, broken, and with third-degree burns. And for anyone wondering where I was, don't worry. I'll be spending a lot of time here later. But with nothing standing between us and the end, we decided to prepare for the dragon fight for the next 4 hours. Which I don't have. That's right, shortly after recording our procrastination arc, my video file regrettably decided to take the easy way out. Now my loyal dog Super King did stream the entire playthrough, but between you and me, I really don't want to edit in 480p. So instead of just skipping over it, allow me to give you a completely accurate and non-exaggerated rundown of what happened. King and A2K get back from the Nether while I'm still trying to escape the gulag. We could hit the end now, but one of us felt that we weren't quite ready, you know, for the boss fight children had beaten. Nonetheless, the quickest way to get results is of course child labor. We discreetly borrow a handful of villager orphans for our sweatshop. Don't worry, they won't have parents to miss them. Any extras, of course, are sent to work in the camps.
You bet Auschwitz!
Next, we assign each indentured servant to their mandatory profession. Because this isn't a job market, it's a caste system. Unfortunately, their prices are much too high, probably due to a steady rate of inflation, and nothing else. Now, we can always give them a little incentive, but I think it's better to take a more psychological approach. Head to a pillager outpost, leave them a nice message, and accidentally start a race war. Of course, like all things, this is a business opportunity. We get money, power, and knowledge, all for the price of a few bodies. Maybe Sundowner was right. Let's give war a chance. Yet none of this compares to the acquisition of our newest team member. Meet Benny, the Ravager. And I know you're thinking, why? Well, aside from adopting yet another orphan, he protect, he attack, and most importantly, he makes that sugarcane stack. So with all of our newfound wealth, we can purchase the equipment needed at a great discount from our Polish merchants. Not out of respect, but fear. But now that we're ready as can be, all that's left is to craft the eyes, locate the stronghold very carefully, and well, the rest is violence.
Every man's got a fight to fear. I'm the first to invade a shared thoughts, provoke a new era. Become a bit